SEAL team ambushed in the kill zone until a lone sniper turned the tide. The night air in the Afghan mountains was cold enough to burn the lungs. Lieutenant Jake Morrison crouched behind a crumbling mud wall, his breath coming in short, controlled bursts as he scanned the village ahead through his night vision goggles. The green-tinted world before him looked quiet, almost peaceful. But Jake knew better. Intelligence had confirmed that a high-value target was hiding in one of those compounds, and his six-man SEAL team had been tasked with bringing him in. The time was 1:37 a.m., and they were right on schedule. Before we begin, tell us in the comments where in the world you're watching from. Alpha 1, this is Alpha 6. We're moving in, Jake whispered into his radio. His team began their approach, moving like shadows through the narrow alleyways. Petty Officer Marcus Reed took point, his rifle raised and ready. Behind him came Danny Chin, their communications specialist, followed by the others. They moved with practiced silence, years of training guiding every step. Jake felt the familiar rush of adrenaline mixed with razor-sharp focus. This was what they trained for, what they lived for. They reached the target compound without incident. Too easy, Jake thought, but pushed the concern aside. Marcus placed the breaching charge on the wooden door while the team stacked up on either side. 3 seconds later, the charge blew with a muffled thump and they poured inside. The compound was empty. Not just empty of people, but of everything. No furniture, no supplies, nothing. Jake's stomach dropped. "Fall back," he shouted, but it was already too late. The night exploded with gunfire. Muzzle flashes erupted from every rooftop, every window, every doorway surrounding the compound. The SEALs had walked straight into a trap, and now they were caught in the deadliest place any soldier could be, a kill zone. Bullets tore through the air, chipping away at the walls around them, kicking up geysers of dirt at their feet. "Get to cover! Move, move, move!" Jake screamed over the deafening chaos. The team scrambled back through the doorway, diving behind whatever cover they could find in the narrow courtyard. Danny took a round to his body armor that knocked him flat. Marcus dragged him behind a stone water trough, gasping. I'm okay, Danny wheezed, though his face was twisted in pain. The enemy had them surrounded on 3 sides, and the only way out was back through the kill zone they'd just entered. Jake's mind raced as he assessed their situation. They were pinned down, outnumbered at least 5-1 and running low on ammunition. He keyed his radio. "Overwatch, this is Alpha 6. We are taking heavy fire and need immediate support." "How copy?" Static answered him. He tried again. Nothing. Either their communications equipment was damaged, or the enemy was jamming them. "They were on their own! We can't stay here!" Marcus shouted over the gunfire. "They'll flank us or bring up RPGs." He was right. Jake could see shadows moving on the rooftops, trying to get better angles on their position. In minutes, maybe less, this courtyard would become their grave. But retreating meant crossing 30 meters of open ground with no cover, right through the heaviest concentration of enemy fire. It would be suicide. Then, like the voice of an angel cutting through the storm, a single rifle shot cracked through the night. One of the muzzle flashes on the eastern rooftop went dark. Another shot and another flash disappeared. "Someone's covering us!" Danny yelled, hope flooding his voice. Jake didn't know who it was or where they were shooting from, but whoever this guardian angel was, they were giving them a chance. "On my mark, we move together," Jake ordered. "Stay low and keep moving. 3, 2, 1, go!" The team broke from cover, sprinting across the courtyard as the mysterious sniper continued their deadly work. Each shot was precise, surgical, eliminating threats with impossible accuracy. Jake saw an insurgent lean out from a window, and before the man could even aim, he dropped. Another appeared on a rooftop, and he too fell before he could fire. They made it to a partially collapsed building that offered better protection. Jake did a quick head count. Everyone was there, everyone was alive. "Who is that shooter?" Marcus panted, reloading his rifle. "I don't know, but God bless them," Jake replied. The sniper continued to dominate the battlefield, their shots coming from somewhere in the rocky hills to the north. Every time an enemy fighter tried to reposition or take a shot at the SEALs, the sniper found them. The enemy's coordinated assault was falling apart. Without effective leadership and facing an unseen threat they couldn't locate, the insurgents began to panic. Jake seized the opportunity. "We pushed north toward our sniper's position." They'll cover our movement. It was a gamble, but staying put meant getting surrounded. The team began leapfrogging forward, one group covering while the other moved, the sniper eliminating any threat that presented itself. They fought their way through the village for 20 agonizing minutes. Jake's rifle ran dry and he switched to his sidearm. Marcus took a bullet through his thigh but kept moving, his jaw clenched against the pain. Danny called out targets while Chen and the others returned fire. And through it all, that lone sniper kept shooting, kept protecting them, kept them alive. Finally, they reached the rocky hillside where their mysterious savior had been shooting from. Jake led his team up the narrow goat path, lungs burning, legs screaming. They found him on a small ledge with a perfect view of the village below. He was wearing a ghillie suit, his face painted with camouflage, and his rifle still trained on the village. But what stopped Jake in his tracks was the man's insignia. He wasn't American. He was British SAS. "You lads looked like you could use a hand," the sniper said in a calm British accent, not taking his eye from his scope. "Sergeant Thomas Blackwood, SAS. I was on a solo reconnaissance mission when I heard the fireworks." He fired another shot, and somewhere in the village, an insurgent fell. "Thought I'd even the odds a bit." Jake wanted to laugh, cry, and salute all at once. "Lieutenant Jake Morrison, SEAL Team 3, you just saved our lives." Thomas finally looked up from his scope, a slight smile crossing his weathered face. "Just doing my job, mate. Now I suggest we put some distance between us and that hornet's nest. My extraction point is 2 kilometers north. You're welcome to join me." As dawn broke at 6:15 a.m., painting the mountains in shades of gold and pink, the 7 warriors moved through the hills together. Marcus was being helped by Chen, his leg bandaged with field dressings. Danny's ribs were bruised but not broken. Everyone was exhausted, battered but alive. Jake walked beside Thomas, the British sniper who had appeared like a ghost when they needed him most. "How many did you take down back there?" Marcus asked, his professional curiosity overcoming his pain. Thomas thought for a moment. "Stopped counting at 17. Could be more?" The SEALs exchanged glances of disbelief and respect. One man had turned the tide of an entire battle. Later, after they'd been extracted and were debriefed, Jake learned that Thomas had been tracking the same high-value target. The insurgents had set up the ambush meant for any Western forces in the area. Thomas had been in position for 2 days when the SEALs walked into the trap. He'd had a choice: maintain his cover and complete his mission, or reveal his position to save the Americans. He'd chosen the latter without hesitation. Jake never forgot that night or the lesson it taught him. In the chaos of combat, in the moment when death seems certain, sometimes salvation comes from the most unexpected places. Sometimes it takes the form of a lone warrior on a distant hill, a stranger who decides that no mission is more important than the lives of fellow soldiers. Thomas Blackwood had been their guardian angel, and Jake made sure that everyone who would listen knew the story of the British sniper who saved SEAL Team 3 in the mountains of Afghanistan. Brotherhood, Jake learned, doesn't require the same flag. It only requires the same courage.